Yeah, the podcasting is just one of many tools that we now use to transform the way we tell stories. So the DNC was just a print product for many years, as you probably know, and in recent years we've really transformed to be experts in digital storytelling, and that includes video, podcasting, interactive graphics, and things of that nature that help help digital users consume our content, especially younger digital users who aren't as enthralled with the print product. So it's going pretty well. We moved into a new building last May that really helps us transform the environment into one that is a little bit more digital-centric and metrics-focused. We keep an eye on how our stories are being consumed, how our stories are being engaged with by digital users. So, for example, we know how many people are in a story, reading a story at any particular point in time, and we're also able to tell how long a person might stay with that story. And so, if a story is really popular, we'll know about it right away. If it's not as popular as we thought it would be, then we might take a look at the story and see if it needs tweaking with a better headline or something of that nature in order to engage more consumers. So it's kind of interesting because before we would produce the journalism, we'd package it in a print product and send it out, and really not know outside of subscriptions who was reading it and how they were reading it. And now we have all of these technological tools that allow us to better understand is our journalism resonating with the public or not. When we were just a newspaper, we had a deadline that was, essentially once a day at night, and then the newspaper went to press. And so in the digital world, we have a deadline essentially not just every minute, but every second. And so we compete with TV, and we're trying to get the information out as quickly as we can, but also as accurately as we can. And we never want to sacrifice accuracy in order to be first with the story. I wouldn't say that NPR is too small, but we don't really consider it as much of a competitor. We're really competing against the news outlets that are local and are producing content on a daily basis that are really relevant to the lives of Rochesterians. And so we really have a local focus, but we do partner with USA Today on national and international news. So we're far more accessible and approachable than ever before because as we're producing our content, posting it, and then we're sharing it on social platforms, people have the ability to comment right away on our stories and also on social platforms about our stories. And sometimes it can be really overwhelming because it's impossible for us to keep up with all of the comments and be able to respond to every single one of them. So we pick our shots, and we try to respond as best we can with the staff that we have. But it can be a little overwhelming at times. I think social media is providing a forum and a voice for a lot of people who felt like they didn't have a voice before, and it does provide for a lot more social interaction that is not as productive or civil as we would like. So there are things that people will say online that they wouldn't say to your face. And we find that a lot here at the DNC. If somebody's really upset with a story or an editorial, they'll say extremely nasty things, hurtful things online. But if you were to have that conversation with somebody face to face, I think they would probably be nicer. And so there's this. I think that social media has been liberating for some people and they feel like they can say anything they want, and that can be disturbing, because we're really a promoter of civil conversation. We promote greater understanding of others, and we're really disappointed to see such divisiveness in our country right now. Yeah, well, social media is another way for us to connect. So I'm not a complainer about social media. I believe that social media provides, again, a venue for many people who want to be heard. It extends the democratic process, as far as I'm concerned. The unfortunate thing is when people misuse it, when they put fake information out there, or they say things that they shouldn't, and that's unfortunate. But that's kind of where we're at as a society right now.
I personally like the fact that news is going digital, because as a blind user, blind consumer, I use news apps, and there's a service for the blind that's called NFB Newsline, and that's through the National Federation of the Blind. And if you subscribe to it, you can have access to many, many newspapers and magazines and publications. So I like that I can go now and read my local news for my state, and that I can read news from other states, and I can read national news, international news, and I could never do that before. As a student in school, we'd have to do current events, and we would basically have to write a report on a news article that we found interesting, and we'd have to clip out the article from the newspaper and attach it to our report. Normally, I had help with that. I'd have to go to the special ed class and have somebody tell me, okay, these are the top stories. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Which one do you want? And sometimes I didn't understand. I'm the kind of person that it's not enough to just get headlines. I want to go into the paper and read the article. And sometimes, the teachers would have to take shifts. Oh, okay, I can only work with her for 10 minutes because I have lunch or whatever. And it was frustrating because sometimes I had to leave. It was the end of the period and I had to leave. And my history instructor would have to give me extra time on the current event reports. Or they would tell me ahead of time, hey, Cindy, we've got a current event report due on Friday, so you might want to, have somebody help you with that. And now I think about it now, and it's like, it's so much easier. I could email, using the Newsline service, I can email an article to myself, I can read it, I could do a report, I could have even emailed it to my instructor, all using my iPad. And that's just incredible to me, that the digital world has opened that up to me. I get news from Facebook, I subscribe to news stuff on Twitter. It's incredible how much news I can get now. Of course, watching the news is good. I think it's still important if you have it in the newspaper form. For people who like doing that, I think if I could see, I would still want to hold the paper in my hand to actually read it. But from a blindness perspective, I love the digital news world. I think it's harder. I would imagine that it's harder to keep up with the news. You have to go and update. You have to be very good at updating things. Update your webpage, update. But I thank people, as much as I can, who go out there and do this. And of course, I do listen to podcasts as well. So I think it's very important and very crucial. And I think it's wonderful. I could just go on, but I will stop here. And it's a very good post.